Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. College football is finally here, and we've got some action to dive into. The NFL is finally back, and we've got a nice little promo code for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. The code is NFL20. Right now, we're talking Duke and Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored big time in this one, minus 20. The total is 54.5. This one is in South Bend. The crowd capacity is going to be at 20%, which means there can be approximately 16,000 fans. So there will be a bit of a home field advantage, but granted, not the home field advantage that they usually would have. Notre Dame returns quarterback Ian Book after he really poured it on at the end of the season, scoring 30 plus points in most of the games when it came to the final stretch. This Duke team, however, they get a shiny new transfer in Chase Bryce, a Clemson transfer at quarterback. David Cutcliffe is now calling the plays, the head coach that everyone knows as being the savant that kind of helped shape Peyton Manning. He's calling the plays on the offense this year for Duke. So, given all this information, Craig Trapp, what do you think on this game? Do you think Notre Dame can cover that big number, or do you like the underdog in this one?
Well, week one, I said I thought the defenses were going to be ahead of the offenses. I still think that come week two for all these teams that are opening up, and that's the case here for both of these teams. Of course, have a big game in the ACC to start out. Of course, we're only going to see league matchups here. I think it just favors the big underdogs when you're getting, almost 3 touchdowns here. I think, yes, Notre Dame's the clearly better team. Ian Book is very good, and I think they'll put up 35 points. I think when you're getting this many points, if you're Duke, they only got to score 20. 20 gets us the cover here, so I like Duke here plus the points. I also think the under is going to be a pretty solid play. I could see this 35-17 gets us the cover, 35-18, something like that would also get the under here. So I like the under, and I like Duke plus the points. I could see it get out of hand if Book is pouring it on, but I don't know. I don't know what you have to prove by trying to go out there and blow teams out. Let's be honest. You got to work on depth this year, Chelsea. You got to remember, what if Ian Book goes down with the COVID? You got to have a guy that's going to be able to step in there for a week or two. So I think if you get some of these teams get up big, you're going to see a lot of backups playing just so that you develop that depth on these good teams.
Here's something I'm also wondering about. No one knows what the championship is going to look like or how people get voted in or invited. So I'm wondering if some of these teams do actually have to perform really well and blow out teams in order to get invited. Granted, no one knows what the Big Ten's up to, but here's some more info just to digest if you're betting on this game. Ian Book loses his top 3 targets as far as receivers go. Cole Kmet notably being their top tight end threat, and Notre Dame has been a bit of a tight end U over the years with 3 first or second round picks in the last 10 years. So that's a matchup that I would like to look at, is their tight ends versus Duke's secondary, and they lose their top safety and their top returning tackler. So I think their tight ends are going to feast on this Duke defense that loses quite a bit. However, you mentioned it, 20 is a big number to cover. However, we do have a bit of research when it comes to big favorites, 6-0 in their last 10 as double favorites. Duke only double-digit dogs once in the last 10, and they did cover versus Georgia Tech. That being said, Notre Dame beat Duke 38-7 last season. So there's a lot of numbers, and it just stinks at the first of the season because you really don't know how many of those numbers are actually apple. So all that, do you still like Duke to cover?
Yeah, I think Duke historically has been pretty good on offense. Like you said, Cutcliffe is going to take over calling plays. I think that's a positive. He's known for his offensive skills. Duke is not known for their great defense and the amount of speed and talent they have. They're more known for their offensive skill players. I think Duke will have something here and get us. I think if they get between 17 and 20, I think they cover, and I think they can get that with Cutcliffe calling the plays now.
It'll be really interesting to see how that Clemson transfer does. I think it kind of stinks the first game of the season. It's hard to adjust, especially when you're actually playing a good team in Notre Dame, but it should be a fun one to watch regardless. But I do like Notre Dame laying the wood here to cover 20, just because in the past they have covered those big point spreads, 6-0 in last 10 as double-digit favorites, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm just not sold on this Duke team. They haven't had a whole lot of time to practice. When you have a new quarterback, it's a lot to learn, especially under a David Cutcliffe offense. This is a guy that is one of the best offensive minds in college football, and it can be a lot for a new player to learn. So I don't see that as necessarily a good thing sometimes when you have a whole big playbook to learn and a limited time on the field. So I do like Notre Dame in this one.
Well, one of us is going to win. I guess we could push here, but I think we'll find a lot out about the ACC in this one because obviously Clemson is the huge favorite. Notre Dame is the one team I think in here that could maybe beat them or at least play with them, and so we're going to see how good Notre Dame is.
Right, and one final stat for the road: Notre Dame has won 18 straight at home by an average margin of 22.4 points. So we'll leave it there on that one. That's going to do it for Duke Notre Dame talk here on Picks and Parlays. As always, good stuff from Craig Trapp. Thanks for joining us.